Take your country back.
Amen.
Take your country back. We're dying left and right. They're gonna kill us. Take your country back.
You are fake news. Go ahead.
My fellow Americans, I stand here with all that feel as I do, disgusted with this lie that Biden has been chosen, as if we all don't know the truth. And when one tries to deceive, we know that one can't get away with it. There will be a price to pay. The ones who are jumping for joy now are jumping toward the horror they will be in for, because I know that the promises being made from the left to the American people will never come to be. My friends of all colors, races, and religions, this is now our greatest fight since the Civil War, the battle of righteousness versus Satan. Yes, Satan. Because these leftists are evil, corrupt, and they want to tear down this nation. We must not allow this. We must fight this corruption that has taken over and fight for the good that seems lost. Let us give our trust to God and fight now for Trump's victory, because we all know this ballot count is corruption like they are. So let us not back down. Let us fight this fight as if it is our last fight on earth. As Muhammad Ali said, it's not over till the last punch you have.
And we are live. Welcome to All Things Truth. And we're back to talk about the current state of the zeitgeist in America. And right now, it's like two different worlds. So if you're just kind of just chilling, listening to music, watching Netflix, checking CNN every once in a while, maybe Fox News, just to get your update, you probably only know like half what's going on right now. You probably don't even know that there's actually legitimate hundreds of affidavits and voting irregularities being checked into. So most people are saying that, oh, Trump's crazy, he's a madman, he's ruining democracy, he's trying to steal this election that Biden fair and square won.
It's crazy. I mean, you have so many signed affidavits and people willing to come forward and testify of what's happening. And so most of them were poll watchers. They saw all these irregularities, all these improprieties, fraud right in front of them, people throwing away ballots. There's just so much of it. So Kayleigh McEnany, before Fox cut her off the other night.
Which is crazy, by the way. So before you hold that thought for 1 second, I just want to say something real quick. Before you go crazy what I'm about to say, though. It's not about saying that Biden lost and Trump won. It's about saying we should never get to the point where we start to censor people because we don't like what they're saying.
Yeah.
So if all the Biden voters, if you're right and Biden won fair and square, then just should be relax. You got the election. You won. What's the big deal? He has until December 20 test every state if he wanted to. That's in the Constitution. So just calm down. Like, Trump's not going to sit there and start a war over the White House if he loses. If he loses, he's going to leave. Stop. Like, the CNN needs to stop saying that. They need to stop saying that. That's craziness. Go ahead.
So you got so many people coming forward. Kayleigh McEnany, she said, I have 22,000 sworn affidavits here in front of me of, people saw election fraud. So Fox cut her off, obviously. CNN's not talking about it. And you flip through the channels of all the mainstream media, and all you hear is, this was a fair and free election. This had no fraud in this entire election. This was the safest and most secure election ever.
Right.
They're just literally, that's all they keep saying. They just keep repeating it.
Yeah.
And then they keep acting like Trump is a madman.
Right.
When, first of all, in 2000 with Gore and Bush, it took 45 days to straighten things out before we knew who was president. So how is this any different? I mean, Trump has this right. And back then, it was just more about a recount. There wasn't massive allegations of fraud. There wasn't, thousands and thousands of sworn affidavits of fraud. I mean, Kayleigh McEnany, so she said she had 22,000 sworn affidavits. She had 234 pages of sworn affidavits in one county in one state.
Right.
That's
So,
insane.
Here's the middle ground, okay, for both sides. This is what needs to be. This is how people need to interpret what's going on right now. Stop censoring people on the right that are coming up with real data, real affidavits, real paperwork, real whatever, showing where they think there's irregularities. Stop censoring that. And on the right, calm down, okay? You lost so far. You might have lost the election. Biden might be president. That needs to be accepted by now. But trust the process. Trust that Trump has a legal team ready to go. And we're just going to get to the bottom of it. Whether Trump wins or Biden wins, let's just get to the bottom of it so that both sides can say, you know what, I feel better about the results. Because right now, 70 million Americans are not okay with the result. It's true. It's a fact.
Yeah.
And
that's what I don't understand is that why are Biden supporters, why are the people on the left freaking out? If there was no fraud, then why are you worried? What's the problem?
So CNN and all the norm, all the media are saying that they literally are trying to get it into people's heads that right now Donald Trump is going to hold down the White House and he's going to start us in the next civil war and he's not going to let go. And that's not true. It's not true at all. If you listen to anything that's being said by his press secretary, by him himself, he just wants to make sure that there was no voter fraud. Okay, you don't have to like that. You can be like, oh, that's crazy. He's crazy. Sure, you got that. Maybe you think it's crazy, but you still should allow it. It's not. But Joe, I got a secret for you guys. Whether you like it or not, right now, our president is Donald Trump. Right now,
our president is
until
Donald
January,
Trump.
Whatever.
And another thing I want to make very clear to people: Joe Biden, he's not even president-elect yet.
He's not.
The CNN.
I got that wrong last week. Let me say that for a second. On the way here last week, the news, every news, even Fox News, every news was like, Joe Biden is currently, it's been called. They said it's been called. This is what they said. Joe Biden is the president-elect of the United States. People were honking the horns, going crazy. This was exactly a week ago today. I didn't realize that the committee of election, whatever their name is, the election committee, the federal election committee, it's FEC, they did not call the election yet. As of right now, it's like 259 Biden, 219, something like that. As of right now, legally by the courts, the election has not ended yet. That's a factual statement that no news is telling you.
Yeah.
So Fox and CNN and all the, they're not telling you that right now, as we sit here right now, legally, Supreme Court wise, there is not a president-elect yet.
Yeah,
that's a fact. I'm sorry. You can get mad at me all you want.
Donald Trump,
but it's true. It's actually true.
Donald Trump is the president till January 20th.
I'm not being butthurt. I'm just
no. This is just the facts.
I said it a million times. If Biden wins, I don't really care. I don't really care. I know I don't like Biden. I think he's the most corrupt person in the entire world. But I know that in the grand scheme of life, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, life will go on.
Life will go on. So I'm going to be fine.
But
I just want to get this out there because it's blowing my mind that none of the media is reporting this correctly. They're not. So it's a one-sided deal. I'm not surprised, really.
So Trump is the president till January 20th.
Yeah.
We do not have a winner for the 2020 presidential election yet. The Electoral College has not convened. They have not cast their votes yet, and they won't until these court battles go through the courts and until these recounts and audits happen.
Yeah.
So Biden is not even president-elect. And the mainstream media and CNN, they do not have the power nor the right to call an election.
Yeah.
And that's what they're trying to make people think that they do, and they're calling it. And then we see this screen here. This is what Biden and his campaign and the left is doing. They put this backdrop behind Biden, which says Office of the President-elect, and then on the other side says COVID-19 briefing. Let's get two things straight. There is no Office of the President-elect. Biden's not even president-elect yet, but even if he does win and he is president-elect, there is no Office of the President-elect, and he also doesn't have the president-elect doesn't have briefings.
Yeah.
So it's called irrigation. It's when they make you think that somebody has power because it looks like they have power, and it's what they use.
Well,
it's
here's
what
what
propagandists use.
Here's what I noticed: the media clearly is in the. They have his back. They have Biden's back all day.
Yeah,
that's not a surprise.
That's
even if you're a liberal, you know this. So what they're doing now is they're not telling people what's going on legally behind, like in the courts, that Trump's getting denied, that in certain states, certain counties are getting denied access to like recounts, stuff like that. They're not saying that there's hundreds of affidavits being filled out, just people coming forward, whistleblowers. They're not talking about any of that. And then on top of that, they're showing you that, here's Biden, the president-elect. He's going to speak again about coronavirus. They're getting it in your head. This is your president. This is your president. So therefore, if Trump somehow pulls off this miracle and flips all these states and he wins legally, that would be legally. I'm not talking illegally. If he does do that, now the media has the narrative that it's a stolen election by Trump instead of the other way around. So, but now if Biden wins, they've already been giving you the narrative. So that makes Trump look like a madman for even contesting what is a easy result. There's no question here. That's what they're doing here. It's pretty obvious.
With people that I'm close with, actually a couple of months ago, I actually predicted this. People that I talk to every day, people that I can talk openly with. I said, I have a feeling that they're going to try and steal the election. If they're successful, then Biden's in the White House and the left has the White House. If they lose, they're going to make it look like it was stolen from Biden.
John O'Rourke just sent me this. This is Trump in 2000. Is that in 2016, John? The Office of the President-elect.
Yep. And that's the media for you.
Well, that's what he's saying. This is 2016.
I know, but that's still the media. Oh. They perceive like they have the right to crown a king and do it. So yeah, I mean, it even happened on the other side. So I'm not surprised.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Why I never really.
But so what it shows is that the media, they perceive and they act like they have power that they don't have. They can't name a winner.
Here's the thing, John's got a point there.
Absolutely.
But here's the real thing that this is actually fact. And I don't know, you might think I'm crazy lunatic right winger for saying this, but if you can fact check me all you want. Currently, as we speak right now, the FEC, Federal Election Committee, has not called this election yet. It is still technically, legally, Biden is not president-elect yet. No. It's only been called by the media. I know you're probably like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. But they're not telling. That's something that no mainstream media, even Fox News, is even reporting right now. They're not telling the truth about that. I'm not saying Biden lost. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, legally through the court system right now, the election's still being decided. I mean, go on your phone right now, type in realclearpolitics.com and go to the election, go to the electoral map. It says like 259 Biden right now. He's not in 270 yet.
I don't know if you saw.
That's
this,
all I'm saying.
But,
I'm not saying that Trump's going to win.
Yeah, no, we're not.
I'm just saying that I'm shocked that the media won't give you the facts. They don't have to like it. They don't have to say Trump's going to win. They can be like, oh yeah, Biden's got this in the bag, but we want to be accurate reporting that right now it's still being decided in the courts.
We were just talking about
that's all they have to do.
Yeah,
that's all they have to do.
We were just talking about the FEC. I don't know if you saw this, Neil, and you guys can go to Epoch Times. There's an article about it. The chairman of the FEC said that he believes there's voter fraud in key states. That's the chairman of the FEC. He even said that there's so many irregularities. Now, there's something called Benford's Law, and it's what the FBI and what law enforcement, that's how they catch like money launderers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of these genius statisticians, they went through all these previous elections and they actually used Benford's Law. And you look at all the graphs and they all flow like they should from previous elections, 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 16 years ago. And then you look at the graph for this election and Biden, and it just doesn't line up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you not only have all these whistleblowers coming forward and all these people coming forward signing sworn affidavits, but even the numbers don't add up. Like in Pennsylvania, 25,000 elderly people that all lived in nursing homes and like, you know,
And
assisted living,
yeah.
they all requested a mail-in ballot
At the same time. It's very,
second.
very, very weird.
25,000.
Did you know that those people, they had someone else fill it out for them?
Yeah.
So we don't know what happened there. But this is the thing. Like we're telling you these things not to say that just means Biden cheated and it's Trump won. Everyone go home. We're just saying, like, look, we need to look into that. That's all. We just want to make sure that that's okay.
And we're not saying that this is like, oh, this is, cold hard proof and this is it. But these are facts. 25,000 elderly people, all of them living in nursing homes in Pennsylvania, requested a mail-in ballot at the exact same second. Now, certain states actually allow ballot harvesting. Pennsylvania does not.
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to ballot harvest. You're not allowed to go around and collect ballots and fill them out for people and, drop them all off. And so there's a lot of these. We're mentioning a couple of these, but there's so many of them. Like I said, over 22,000 sworn affidavits, over 234 pages of affidavits in one county. So it needs to be looked into. Whether Trump wins or not, whether Biden wins or not,
John,
it doesn't matter.
John, to answer what you just said, though, in 2000, the media did not make it seem that Bush was the president-elect until the whole Florida thing was over with. Then they did it. We didn't know. Like I get what you're saying, that the Supreme Court won't decide until usually early December or something like that. And then they said the president-elect was before that. Yes, that's when we know for sure. And look, I get, like I said, the media has every right to say, oh, we think Biden won this election. The votes are in, but there's nothing. They're not saying anything about what's going on behind on the other side. They're not even trying. They're hiding that. They're blocking Kayleigh McEnany from talking, censoring people. It's never been seen before. It's totally different than every other year.
They have the
Completely different.
They have the right to say that we think this is who won. What they don't have the right to say is that this is the president-elect. He won. Until the Electoral College convenes and they cast their votes, we don't have a president-elect.
Right. Or if someone concedes.
Exactly.
And that's
my
the
second
thing.
point.
And that's the difference between this time in 2016. Hillary, it wasn't even right away. It was a week later or something like that. She conceded. Well, and by the way, speaking of Hillary, I want to bring something up right now. This bothered me. This actually made me want to do this podcast. I was watching the View once in a while. I'll put the View on just to hear the madness, because those people are crazy people. By the way, the people on the View, Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg, they're crazy people. Meghan McCain, crazy people.
Let's show it to them.
I just want to show you some of the hypocrisy real quick. What's going on over there? I put this little montage together real quick.
You know who was elected 4 years ago? Hillary Clinton didn't say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right, stop the count. She didn't say, this isn't right, I'm not going for it. She didn't say any of that. So all of you, suck it up. Suck it up like we sucked it up. And if you are not sure that you're comfortable with Joe Biden, do what we did. Find things and then take it to the law. And if the law says it's something to look at it. But from now on, suck it up. In conjunction with that word, yeah.
You mean president?
Uh-huh.
I see.
Yeah.
But you recognize that he is the president.
He's there. Listen, this is the first time where I can't wrap my mind around this. He found no evidence that the guy in the White House conspired with Russia. Let's start with the fact that we know that Russia is all over everything. They're all over everything. Now, whether they did it or not, interfere specifically into these elections.
Right, against Hillary Clinton.
Taking money.
But the fact that they knew, that they knew that this was happening. I'm so sorry, because you should have been here the whole hour.
I know.
That's what I'm saying. But you know what? Whatever's going to come out, we're going to hear it from you before we hear it from anybody else, I hope. From the committee, not just you. Thank you for coming. Come back.
I would love to. Thank you.
I don't have Trump derangement. Let me tell you what I have.
So Okay, yeah, you do have Trump derangement syndrome. She
Yeah.
couldn't even say his name. And then in 2017, she went a whole year without even saying his name once.
Yeah, Hillary never accepted the election results.
No.
Whoopi never accepted the election results, but now she's trying to say, "Oh, I did.
Suck it
Suck
up.
it up like I
Suck it
did."
up.
She never sucked it up.
By
She-
the way-
she kept talking about
by the
Russia
way-
even after it was disproven.
By the way, where's all the conservatives rioting and looting and putting pussy hats on and walking through the streets?
It's not going to happen.
I think sucked it up. I think they did that. Okay.
Yeah.
All we're trying to do is get us to feel good about this election. All these places are popping up with all these voter irregularities. Let's look into it and then let's move on.
Here's the
That's
difference.
it. That's
Here's
all
the
you gotta do.
difference between the left and the right. The left, when they're upset, they act like children. They throw a temper tantrum. They riot. They loot. They steal. They burn. They destroy stuff. The right, they go like today in Washington D.C. They're going to have a peaceful protest. Nothing's going to get broken. Nothing's going to get destroyed. Nobody's going to get killed. And then you know what? If Biden does end up winning,
He won.
the
Yeah.
right is going to go back to just living their lives.
Mhm.
We're not going to for 4 years cry and scream and say not my president, not
Right.
my president. That's the difference. Is that we'll be upset. We'll be like, oh, I wanted Trump to win. All right, I got to go to work. I got to go back to my life.
Right.
So that's the big difference. Is that they never accepted Trump, and now they're trying to act like Trump should concede, and all his supporters should just accept Biden.
And at the end of the day, the reason why this needs to be taken in a different way than the last few elections is because of the mail-in ballots. Okay, I'm not saying mail-in ballots is now a reality in America. That is real. That's going to keep happening. They're not going to take away mail-in ballots anymore. But this is the first time we've ever done this, where there wasn't just absentee ballots, where they were just sending out requested ballots for everybody and millions and millions of votes. Where
Over
you send
100
out
million.
where you send out mail-in ballots and it goes to whoever you intend it to go to. But once it gets to that house, you don't know what happens. We're talking about millions of locations across the country where you don't know what happened in between the time it got sent to the house to the time it got filled out to the time it got sent back. You have no idea what happened there. There's nothing you can do to check that
There's nothing.
besides signatures.
There has never
Now-
been even close to this many mail-in ballots. Over 100 million.
Yeah.
Normally, you just have soldiers overseas, whatever. There are extenuating circumstances where somebody requests a ballot, they get an absentee ballot, they fill it out, they send it back. It's mostly for military, but over 100 million. And I don't know if you saw this, but somebody's dead cat received 2 ballots.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing like this not only dead people, but now you have pets and animals and people that moved out of state, and they're seeing a lot of that too. There's one accusation that over 10,000 people voted in Nevada that actually they now lived out of state, like California, whatever. They no longer lived in Nevada. They came, they voted in Nevada.
I'll keep going.
So, yeah, I mean, you're seeing this in the mail-in ballots. I mean, the reason they were able to send out 100 million mail-in ballots is under the guise of COVID.
Yeah.
But you can go stand in line at Walmart. You can go stand in line at the grocery store. Like, it's ridiculous. Even Fauci said you can stand in line and vote.
I want to show, there's a million videos that we can't confirm if it's real or fake, but there's a million of these videos out there that make you want to be like, whoa, something ain't right. Here's one of them. I just want to show this. This is in Pennsylvania of a voter counter.
Get the vote bailouts, which means we get your votes and we separate them. So if some of these votes happen to say, like this one, Donald J. Dumb Trump, that one just don't make it towards the mayor.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. We don't know if someone just made that video in their backyard.
It could be
You're
staged.
Right. It could be staged,
but it needs to be looked into.
But this is that's all we're saying is these things have to be checked. If you want unity, if you want the country to come together and actually stand behind Biden and stand behind our country and our president and our government, whatever, we need to make sure that every little detail is looked into, squared away, so that everyone feels okay and we can move on and decide from there.
Here's
and
the
go
thing.
forward.
If Biden wins, I won't like it, but I will accept it.
Yeah,
but
you have no choice.
This is what bothers me, though, the hypocrisy. Biden standing up there saying that we all need to unite. Well, you guys never united under Trump the last 4 years. You've been chanting, not my president. You've been losing your mind, Trump derangement syndrome. It's like, wait, it was, you guys were okay with all of the, not accepting Trump, but now we need to come together.
Right.
And that will end up happening because the right is different from the left in that sense. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
But it is frustrating. It's like a double standard. They never accepted Trump. Now they want us to accept Biden.
Yeah, suck it up. There's Biden right there looking like Fidel Castro. I'll tell you my plans after I'm in power. He actually did say that.
He 100% said that.
He said that. Talking about court packing.
Yep. Yeah. He
that's
said,
a
I'll
real
let you
thing
know
that
after I win.
That's a real issue that might change everything we think about America. If that happens, if they decide, if Biden comes in and packs the court, that's it. That's it. Goodbye.
Well, we don't
goodbye
have
to
a
the
free
Constitution
country anymore.
Yeah, goodbye to the Constitution. They can do whatever they want after that.
Goodbye freedom.
Because
goodbye democracy.
That's the one unchecked out of the three branches of government. If you give too much power to the judicial branch, that's it. They can do anything. They can overrule. They can decide things.
Well,
I mean,
and they're not supposed to have that power. They're
No.
only supposed to judge and rule based on the Constitution.
Right.
They're not supposed to legislate.
and that's what court packing would do.
Yep.
It would give them too much power,
They
and
want-
that's not going to happen. I don't think so.
Well,
I just
they could
I
certainly.
don't think that people will go for that.
They can certainly try, but I honestly think that would be
Yeah.
the breaking point.
No, I
I
think, people
think
would
that
lose
you
their
would
minds.
you would probably have a civil war because people would know what that meant. That means that the freedom and democracy is gone. We no
Yeah.
longer have a republic. We have a dictatorship.
The fact that he won. Okay, so when reporters were asking him if he was going to pack the courts, and he wouldn't answer the question with a straight face, that to me would be like, dude, I'm not voting for him.
He never answered the
But
question.
people are so Trump deranged, it doesn't matter.
Nope.
People actually think that Trump's going to jail. Right now, people tell me this all the time. He's going to jail when he gets out. When they take him out of the office, he's going to be in handcuffs. Like, why?
Everything
What
he's
did
done
he do?
has been legal, and everything that he's doing now with challenging the election and the lawsuits and all that is all within his constitutional rights.
That's what I'm saying.
They've lost it. And
Look, when people were saying that Hillary Clinton was going to go to jail, I knew she wasn't going to jail.
But she actually should go to jail. I mean, there is a lot of proof, but she's powerful, so she's
That's
not
what I'm
going to go to jail. But Trump has done nothing. Like the whole Russia. Whoopi's talking about Russia.
But even Hillary Clinton, even though we all know she's probably one of the dirtiest politicians in world history, there's nothing concrete that you can do to arrest. She has everything squared away. Like she bleached her laptop or computer or whatever that was. There's nothing there. You have all those emails, but they're all coded. They're all typology. They're all like, there's really nothing you can do to Hillary Clinton.
Well,
same thing for Trump. Trump didn't do anything. And if he did, what do you have? Russian collusion came out as a dud. Didn't never. So there's nothing. There's no evidence of that.
And the Steele dossier was funded by the Democrats.
The Ukraine thing blows my mind because the real corruption was actually with Biden, and he got impeached for checking into what Biden was doing.
Yeah,
and now Biden's president.
You're not allowed.
How crazy is
you're
that?
not allowed to look into corruption with Biden and Ukraine.
Right.
Now they're saying
And
that
now
you're
he's
the corrupt
president.
one.
Now he's so I think people are saying that somehow something to do with that. He'll go to jail for that. But it's like, dude, you're nuts.
They have no proof. Whereas with Hillary, they did have her dead to rights. She did email classified information.
Yeah,
which it is 100% illegal. Which is a felony. Which is treason.
It is, but she's an electoral college member now.
She's
not
very
going
powerful.
to jail.
Exactly.
And Trump's not going to jail either. I'm sorry, but that doesn't happen with ex-presidents.
But Trump didn't actually do anything.
Nixon, I know, but I'm trying to tell people who think that all this narratives that are whipped up by the media, they think he can go to jail for that.
No.
Richard Nixon got caught with Watergate scandal. He didn't go to jail.
Nope.
Why would anyone go to jail? Like, think about that. Just try to make some sense of that. Like, people who are saying that he's going to go to jail, you don't even realize how deranged you sound when you say that. I'm just saying, what would he go to jail for? It doesn't make any sense.
A president would have to kill somebody on camera to go to jail, pretty much.
Right. You know what I want to know, though? If Trump really does lose, let's say he does. Now he's got the extra month left to start doing his pardons and his, it's always that last month where presidents do the craziest stuff. Like when Bill Clinton pardoned that guy that was guilty of stealing billions of dollars in a Ponzi scheme. And when Obama did, I think it was the same type of person, some communist person that he let out of jail the 2 days before Trump took office. It happens to every president. Bush did the same thing. I'm actually interested to see what Trump would do in that situation. I heard actually from Trump himself, he tweeted this out, that Edward Snowden
That's what I was going to say.
pardon is a possibility.
I hope he does.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the dude, okay, so you can look at it two ways. He's a traitor because he gave up classified information, or he's a hero because he let everyone know, look, you're being spied on by the government who I work for.
Yep.
So it's really hard to look at that and give a straight answer. There is no straight answer for that.
That's in the gray.
It's in the gray.
It's
it is.
definitely in
Because
the gray.
what he did was kind of...
Technically, what he did was illegal.
You work for the government and you're
leaked,
telling on the government.
He leaked
but you
classified
also...
information.
He told everybody we already knew, though. We weren't... When
He
Edward
confirmed it, though.
When Edward... Right, he confirmed it. When Edward confirmed what we already knew, I almost was like, wow, how would he do that?
But if he didn't do that, everybody that like from the
People-
government
it would
and on
still
that
be a
side,
conspiracy
they
theory.
would say it's a conspiracy
Yeah.
theory. That's what I was going to say. So everybody might have known it, but they would have called it a conspiracy theorist and like, oh, you're crazy. It's a conspiracy theory. That's not true.
Yeah.
So he confirmed it, which was huge. It made a big difference.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, on one sense, yeah, you could say he's a traitor. Technically, he broke the law. On the other sense, it's like he did the morally right thing. He did the humane thing, like to let the people know what was going on.
Yeah, I know.
So I hope he.
I like
hope
Edward
he's
Snowden.
pardoned.
I don't think he's a traitor. I don't think he hates America. I think he loves this country. I think he should come back to America. I think he should be back into the conversation too. So I think he not only should come back, but he should be more, maybe he should get a podcast or something. I don't know. Something I think he has a podcast, but he lives in Russia now. He lives in some weird part of Russia where nobody can arrest him. He's like in some like gray area place. I can't remember where he was, but he was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, he was
recently.
on Rogan like a year ago, I think.
And
it was.
yeah, he was doing for a while. He was going to meetings in America through a bot. So he would have a bot. This is what somebody explained their encounter with Edward Snowden in the last couple of years. They said it was the most wild thing ever. They said that he was in a room waiting to talk to Biden, or waiting to talk to Biden, to Snowden about whatever, some issue that they're going to have a meeting about. And he's in the room. He thinks they're going to roll out a TV maybe to give him, but in comes room comes this like little robot thing with a TV like for the head, and it comes in and it just places itself right in front of the table and turns on, and then
it's
Snowden's face.
That's pretty crazy.
So that dude figured out a way to stay alive in America without actually physically being in America.
That's pretty cool.
It is though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's bad enough. I think
if he was a traitor, he would have just kept his mouth shut.
That's what I'm saying.
By coming forward, in my opinion, that makes him a patriot.
I agree. I thought the same thing. And then Obama trashed him. So, if Obama's trashing somebody, then there's something good about that person.
It's like the media. If the media says someone's bad, they're probably good. If the media says somebody's good, they're definitely bad.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know who else Trump would even be interested in pardoning. He already pardoned so many people with his First Step Act.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's
that's pretty
pardoning.
much where all of them came from.
Yeah.
Was the First Step Act. I don't know if it counts as a pardon, but it pretty much is.
I mean, it pretty much is. They all got let out of jail. So
yeah. And it's funny because most of those people were in there because of Biden's 94 crime bill.
I know.
Which he he's like, oh, that was a mistake. That was a bad thing. He tries to distance himself from that.
That's why I said the media won this election, because the media actually convinced people that Trump is the racist, that he's somehow only wants to help rich white America, and then everyone else is in danger if he gets elected. When literally for 4 years, he was funding black colleges 10 times more than Obama or any other president was. And he was passing laws that were letting people get out of jail for nonviolent offenses. He fixed Flint, Michigan. He's cleaned up ISIS in the Middle East. He made peace deals with Israel and Arab countries. He started doing all these things that the media would not talk about.
Yep.
And now you got the vaccine coming out from his Operation Warp Speed. And look, that's going to land right on Biden's lap. And everyone's going to say Biden's the savior. He came in and he did his lockdown real quick. And him and Cuomo came in after Trump and said, Trump, hold my beer while you're focused on, you're stealing this election. We're going to fix America, and we're going to get rid of COVID and lock down for all these small businesses and wear your mask. And here's the vaccine that we made, not Trump.
What's crazy is that right before the election, Biden and the media and all the Democrats were like, oh, Trump kept saying the vaccine's going to be done like right before or right after the election. oh no, all the experts are saying it's going to be a year away. It's super far away. They didn't want to give Trump credit for Operation Warp Speed. Even in the debate, the last debate, when he said that, even the mediator,
they were like, no way,
said,
no way.
well, that's not what the reports are saying. That's not what the experts are saying.
Right.
And as soon as everybody's votes are cast and election day's over, you find out a couple days later, oh, wow, Trump was right. And so now everyone voted, so that's not going to change any votes there. And they're still not giving Trump credit for it. I mean, it's crazy. Like Operation Warp Speed, this is going to be the fastest vaccine ever in world history.
Yeah.
And Trump, they're not going to give him any credit for it.
No, I know. It's never been. I think it usually takes like 2 years to get a vaccine.
It takes a long
It's
time.
not even
normally.
Benny. It's almost. It's less than a year.
Not even a year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And he did it in a creative way where he got the military involved and he started funding all these companies like Pfizer and
He went at it
Johnson
from a
and
bunch
Johnson,
of different angles. Yeah.
and it worked.
Yeah.
And what all you hear is Trump lost because of COVID. It's like, how did he lose? That became a fact because they said it so much that's a fact now.
That's how propaganda works.
There's nothing.
You just
He's one man.
Keep repeating something over and
He's
over
one
again.
man
People
against a
will believe
global
it.
pandemic. And
Yep.
if you look at the way things were going before that happened, it's crazy. I honestly think that the media won the election for Biden. They actually changed everyone's mind. They successfully did it.
The biggest enemy to the American people is the mainstream
Is our
media,
media. Yeah.
and social media.
I agree.
They conspired to get Trump out of office.
Yeah, it worked.
And they did that because they want to be the ones in power.
And
they want to be the ones in control. And Trump was trying to clean up the swamp and drain the swamp and get rid of corruption and try and do all this good things for the country. And they didn't like that.
No.
And so they did everything in their power to swing an election, which is technically illegal. They're not supposed to be biased.
They also
for
used
one candidate.
They also used his egomaniac personality against him. He kind of gave them. So Trump. Okay, if we want to talk about Trump's downfall and how he let the media beat him, is that he refused to have a little bit of humility once in a while when it was necessary. So that would mean, okay, we're in a COVID crisis. Let's not do this. Let's not do this blue state versus red state and start comparing numbers thing. That didn't help him. Nobody changed their minds and said, Trump's right. You know, these blue states are people who already knew that. People who didn't care about that. It just made him look like just made him look like he was kind of, I don't know.
It didn't matter though. Even if he did have humility, they would have cut that out.
Right.
They would have edited it out. They would have never showed it.
But right. And like he would say things like, you know, we should go in with the lights and kill the virus, that when then maybe use the bleach too. Like those things that he kind of ad-libbed, and we knew what he was doing. People who understand Trump didn't take that serious. People who hate Trump used that against him, and it worked. So I think his only downfall was there was times where he needed to just not try to be right all the time and just let things be as they are, and just, you know what, we're working on it. We're working on we don't know what the process will be. You know, by the way, let this person talk about the cure or whatever. You know what I mean? Not try to be that was what happened though.
There were certainly
and
things.
I'm not saying that he was horrible for doing that. I'm saying the media took those things and they killed him against it.
Here's the thing. Does he say stuff that I'm like, why he shouldn't have said that? That didn't help.
Or on election night when he spells polls wrong.
There's certainly things
what are you
that
doing?
He shouldn't have said, he shouldn't have done. But if you think about it, like I thought about it myself, if I had the media constantly lying about me and constantly attacking me and never giving me credit for anything that I'm doing, and all I'm trying to do is help the American people and build up America, you know, to be a strong nation, I think with everything that he was up against, I actually think he did a good job. I think I would have gotten angrier and lashed out more at them. Or if it was me personally.
Or if you're like George Bush, you just cave in and, yeah, you're right, I'm horrible.
Yeah, so it's like, I think that what he was up against, I think he actually handled it really well.
Yeah.
But there were certainly things that I was like, why did you say that? Like, but if you think about it, when they're constantly poking you and prodding you and lying about you and, you know,
Yeah,
They
started.
You're gonna
they
get
poked
upset.
the bear.
You're gonna retaliate eventually.
But that's what they were trying to do,
and
though.
that's absolutely what they're
And
trying to do.
that's my whole point.
But for 4 years, would you be able to handle that?
No,
I wouldn't.
Nobody
either.
would. But
exactly,
that's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's how they beat him.
Yeah, absolutely.
They beat him by making a war. Let's make war against Trump, and then we won't show our bias, but we'll show his.
Yeah.
So that's what
they
did.
also did it by lying and editing clips and making it look like he said things
taking them out of context.
So they did so many things out of his control.
Yeah, they really did. That's
so
what I'm saying.
Should
the media
he have never had a media briefing? Should he have never ever had that's the only way he could have avoided that is never speak in public.
Yeah.
Only release memos.
Yeah, the media really did beat Trump.
They even did it to Candace Owens. They made it look like she said that that Hitler and the Nazis were good.
Dude, you know how, if you think about how racist that really is, a bunch of white liberals pull a black person into court and accuse her of being a Nazi for a completely baseless claim. That's not even, do you think about how crazy that is?
They took like a 15-second clip.
Think about, they were all white.
Out of a 3-hour
They were
conversation.
all white people calling a black person racist against black people.
They took 15 seconds out of a 3-hour conversation.
Those are the things that I see that makes me blow my mind that anybody would agree with these people.
Not only did they take the 15 seconds out of a 3-hour Candace Owens talking, but then they didn't even at least recite the question that was asked of her when she gave that answer. Like, they did exactly what they had been doing to Trump for years. They even did it to Candace Owens. And she was furious, and somebody yielded the time to her so she could explain, and she said, this is exactly what you do to Trump. You just took 15 seconds out of a 3-hour conversation, and you didn't even have the class to at least tell the people what the question I was asked when I gave this response.
Right.
And you can do that, with editing, that. You can make anybody look bad.
You can do whatever you want.
You could completely change what somebody's saying and make them look like the worst person in the world when really their answer made them look great.
It's so easy to cut out. You can cut little pieces out of a speech and overlay it with the same video. Take the same video, but you cut to the background of the video while they're talking, and then you cut out the audio. And they do this all the time, and no one notices it.
All the time.
The only way you notice it, if you go back to the original raw video,
you got to try and find.
If you find the raw video and play it and compare it, you'll see. Wow,
this is the problem.
And the media does it all the time.
This is the problem.
They do it, and then what they'll say? They'll say, "Oh, we had to cut the video down because it's too long."
Yeah, we need to shorten it.
Okay, I get that part, but don't cut out parts of what you're trying to show. They're trying to show what he said, and they're cutting out actual sentences that changed the whole context of the conversation completely. And they do it all the time.
Most people won't actually go and look for the whole video, and they're not going to spend the time to do that.
Most people won't even click past the title.
They just believe what the media tells them.
Yeah.
And they do that a lot, the media. The title has nothing to do with the article.
Right.
They just literally are feeding you a line of propaganda, and it doesn't even have anything to do with the article.
A lot of times they'll correct themselves in that article just so they don't get fact checked.
Yep.
But the damage is done. The title is all people read, and that gets passed around.
Yep.
People don't have time to click on it and read it. And they'll say, it'll be like, Donald Trump says that he wants to, I don't know, I'm just making some random thing up, that he wants to be president for 90 years. And they'll put that in the title. Then they'll put in the description, when you click on it and read it, it'll say, well, he didn't exactly say that, but imagine a world where Donald Trump does this, blah, 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 blah. And that gets passed around as fact.
People today still believe that the Russian collusion was a thing, that Russia got Trump into the presidency.
Yeah.
That's been completely debunked so many times.
If that's the case, then I guess they like Biden now?
But the media...
Is that what happened?
The media just said it so many times that people believe that it's true.
Yeah.
And when they do issue a retraction, it's so buried that nobody actually sees it. And so it happened with the Russian collusion, which has been completely debunked. It's happened with a bunch of things with Trump. People still think that Trump called all Mexicans rapists, which he didn't.
They still think he mocked a reporter, which he didn't.
And so they still think he mocked a disabled
good
reporter.
People on both sides talking about the riots, which he wasn't.
Yeah,
he's talking about the people that actually set up the place.
He has condemned white supremacy,
and they take him out of context
so
all the time.
many times, like 20, 30 times probably. And he even said, how many times do I have to condemn white supremacy? I don't like David Dorn. I think he's a racist. I don't like him. He finally even lashed out and specifically
David Duke, you mean?
Oh, David Duke, yeah. So it's like,
no, but you're right. Those people those whatever his name's, I can't even think of his name. It starts with an S. The white supremacist everyone knows, whatever his name is. He was like, I'm voting for Biden. Trump's doing too much for black people. He cares too much about the black unemployment rate.
Too much for the blacks, too much for the Hispanics, and too much for the Jews.
Where was the media on that?
Yep.
The media was all over Spencer. That's his name, Richard Spencer. The media was all over Richard Spencer in 2016 because he supported Trump.
The white supremacists actually hate Trump.
They're like, look, these Nazis love Trump. So then one in 2019, when he took it back and said, I want to vote for Biden, they didn't mention that.
No, of course not.
No, that's not news. We don't need to know. No one needs to know that.
Yeah. So they actually, the white supremacists actually don't like Trump now because of everything he did for Israel and the Jews. Everything he's done for the blacks and the Hispanics and the minorities with the First Step Act, with everything that he's done. You know, he gave more money to the historic black colleges than any president ever. We had a black president, Obama, for 8 years. You would think that he would have gave the most money to the historic black colleges or, you know, just to minorities in general, but he didn't. It was Trump, the supposed racist, moved the embassy to Jerusalem, has always had Israel's back, released tons of minorities through the First Step Act that were locked up in jail for life for non-violent offenses. I mean, he's done so much for the minorities, and so he's a supposed racist. It's like the two don't even make sense together.
Yeah.
He would never do that. Like, maybe if you are a true racist, you'll do one thing. So you could be like, well, no, I'm not racist. Look, I did this. But you wouldn't repeatedly do things for the blacks and the minorities if you were a racist.
So I want to, real clear politics can be really misleading at times. Like, they're not really real clear all the time. But I want to give them some credit now because, for one, they're showing the real electoral votes that are in right now legally. And they're also giving voices to articles, like, for example, right on the front page of the election 2020, where it says Biden is at 259, there's an article that says, it's by Bruce Bauer, titled, If All the Fraud is Uncovered, Trump Will Win. And that's, they're at the very least, they're actually letting people on the net side give their opinion and tell you what they think or what they know and what's going on. So I don't know. I just you would think that a real good journalist would be that way, but they're not anymore. They're just bought and paid.
Yeah, honestly, journalism is dead.
Yeah,
the true, honest media, unbiased media is dead.
Yeah,
all they are now is actors and actresses reading scripts because everything comes through a teleprompter. 90% of the media is owned by 6 people. So no matter what, the only thing you're getting different across the country is your local news. Everything else that's not about local news, they're reading off the same script as somebody across the country. And so that's why, like I said, you tell people something enough, even if it's not true, they're going to think it is.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening, is that they're completely, not only are they
Kimberly Strassel at the Wall Street Journal says that a lot of these ballots were harvested. She believes that she has enough data to show that with signatures that don't match up, and a lot of these ballots are going to be taken away. That's what that's what talking. The media is not talking about that. You have to find these good journalists, and find and read them yourself, because they give you their sources too. It's very, very respectable sources that are saying this stuff. CIA director for SWAT, by the way, which is like super high level stuff, like people that are going to go in and overthrow a coup in some country somewhere. Like he was like the head of that for like 40 years under like multiple presidents. And he just said that this election is not far from over, that there's enough irregularities that if it could sway the entire election. He doesn't promise anything, but this is somebody who's super high up, super credible. He has 2 degrees, one from I think, I can't remember which schools, but like Yale or something like that, Harvard, one of those places. He has 2 degrees. He's a doctor, and he's talking about this election in a real clear way, saying, look, right now, it looks like Biden won, but we also are looking at these mail-in ballots, and there's a lot of problems right now. So hold your horses. It's not over yet until we fix this.
Yeah, until all the recounts and audits happen and all the lawsuits are played out in court, then the Electoral College will convene and they'll cast their votes.
Yeah.
That's when we're going to really know for sure who won. And we're not saying it's going to get overturned and Trump's going to end up winning, but there's so many irregularities and there's so much instances of fraud. And what I think is funny is that they say that like an American election has never been meddled with, that, you know, there is no fraud, you know, it's a perfect system. I was doing some research. In 1864, there was a plan to steal the election from Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
And so the way they did that, mail-in ballots.
Yep.
All the soldiers were at war for the Civil War.
Yep.
And there was a huge plan. They were taking soldiers that had already died, and they were, you know, putting in the vote for Abraham Lincoln's opponent. They were creating soldiers' names. There was a huge coup. And what happened was somebody who was loyal to Lincoln went in and pretended like he wanted Lincoln to lose, and he got in buddy with them, and then they started telling him the plan, and he started helping in the plan, and like a week or two before, they actually, you know, blew it all up. But
I think what you just said is really important. I want to show that article real quick. So hold on 1 second, guys. I will get that article for you real quick. But keep talking.
Yeah. So they luckily they were able to, you know, catch everybody and, you know, and stop it. It was a week or two before the election actually went off. But if they didn't, Lincoln would have lost. Can you imagine what our country would look like?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, his lifelong goal was to end slavery.
Yeah.
And that's one of the major things that the Civil War was being fought over.
Yeah.
So if he would have lost that election, I mean, well, this might be a completely different country.
Yeah. So this is, hold on, I might have to take away
I think the article was it the Washington Post?
Yeah, this is Washington Post.
Okay.
It's looking really glitchy right now.
So maybe you just throw the link for the website in there?
Yeah, I have it up there right now. It's
as long as the link's there, you guys can click on it and you can read the whole story.
Well, I'm showing here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to show it on a different screen. So hold on, guys.
So
I'm going to do that right now, actually.
It's a really interesting story, and it's crazy that all the way back in 1864, they tried to steal an election using mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
In 2020, they say, "Oh, the COVID, we got a pandemic. We need to send out 100 million plus ballots, and that's how we need to vote."
See, here we go.
Even though Dr. Fauci made it clear that you can go vote in person, you can go get your groceries in person, you can go do many things in person, stand 6 feet apart, and you'll be fine. But no, they kept pushing that they needed to send out over 100 million ballots.
Yeah.
So that's why Trump was so upset, and he was trying to fight the issue, because that's unheard of. Nothing like that had ever happened. Not anywhere near that number. I mean, I don't know what the normal number of absentee ballots is, but I can't imagine it's more than a couple million.
I mean, this is Washington Post, a super left-wing source of news, and this was like way before. This is like last year, I want to say, this article came out, and it's talking about mail-in ballots, that trying to as a real way to defeat Lincoln from re-election.
Yep.
So this isn't like something new. Like,
yeah, this is not a conspiracy theory. Like, this is embedded in history.
Yeah.
Even the Washington Post, you know, wrote an entire article about it.
Yeah.
I think, what would you say, a year ago?
Yeah, about a year ago. Maybe not even, but yeah, it was way before, like right now at least. They would not drop that Put it this way. That article, if it came out today, it would not have been approved by the editors.
They would have never
They would have
ran
said,
it.
no way, don't run that. That's going to make people think this election is fraud.
Exactly. So the only reason we got the real story from the Washington Post is because it happened
to be old.
way before the election cycle.
That's how powerful our media is. That's why we keep talking about that. That's why we do this podcast.
Yeah, it's tough nowadays. I mean, there's only a couple sources that I really even somewhat trust when it comes to media. The Epoch Times, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
They're pretty good.
Yeah,
EPOCH Times.
So I think that's an hour.
So I trust them.
Yeah.
And there's only a couple of them now. So you really have to dig, and you have to do a lot of research. And that's what most people aren't willing to do.
Yeah.
They want to just believe. And I noticed with the older generation, like my parents and stuff, they grew up with an unbiased, honest media who investigated and who were real journalists.
Check this
out. So
they,
because of that, subconsciously, they believe what the media tells them.
Yeah.
So even though I showed my parents multiple times, like 6 times, that the media staged hospitals during COVID, like lied, staged hospitals. In one instance, they used a hospital from, I think it was Italy, or Paris or something. I think it was Italy. And they said it was New York City, and they got caught. And I showed them all these instances, and they'll still believe what the media says because that's what they grew up with. Yeah. And it's not the same media that our parents grew up with. They actually investigated. They were investigative journalists, and they just they gave you the facts, and they left the opinion up to you. Yeah. And we don't have that anymore. And it's a shame.
No, you know what happened is that in 1989, I want to say, right before, while Reagan was still president in the 80s, we had like 50 media companies, all independently funded by their own little sources. By the time Bill Clinton was in office in 1994, it was dwindled down to like 10. And now we're down to 6 media companies. So all the news you watch, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, wherever you get it from, it's funded by 6 different corporations.
Yep.
So that's it. There's only 6. And those 6 corporations, those CEOs, they get together and they have their meetings. So it's basically like one big corporate entity.
Yep.
It's a corporatocracy that we're
and they're pretty much all liberal.
All liberal,
and then all of the social media platforms are owned and ran by liberals.
Yep.
So that's why you're only getting one narrative.
Yeah, it's true.
And one point of view.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really important.
That's why Fox News is now no longer.
No, Fox News was the first one to call Arizona for Biden.
I always thought that there was some controlled opposition.
And,
all they did was make that side look bad. And then when push came to shove, they would side with.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they're all bad and they're all crooked.
That's why people are like, you're just repeating Fox News talking points. Like, dude, I don't even watch Fox News.
Exactly.
I never do. I don't care about Fox News.
So, I mean, there's a couple good, like Hannity and Carlson. There's a couple at Fox News, but overall now, they might pose as like a right-wing media, but they're not.
No, they're not.
Not at all.
Nope.
Are we, how long have we been live?
Like 55 minutes, almost an hour. So
5 minutes. You got anything else other videos you wanted to show, or is that it?
No, not really. I'm actually looking right now to see if there's anything in here, but I don't know if there really is. What's this? I'm just looking at stuff. So, yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, like I said, I want to touch on like the like it's crazy, all the even statistical anomalies, and I touched on that before.
Here's one right here
with Benford's law, and you just see all these irregularities, and that's like people are, oh, well, that's just like it's just, a numbers, a statistical thing. Well, if they use that as proof for money laundering, and they, and that like actually holds water when it comes to stuff like that, then.
So this is just an example, just one county, but it gives you, people need to know this because this is a real thing that happened. Someone in this county thought they lost their election and they won. They turned out they got a phone call and said, "Oh, by the way, you won."
Yeah,
that's crazy to me.
He lost. They said he lost by 100 votes. He was a Republican.
Yeah,
he was going to. I think he did concede, or he was going to concede.
He conceded. Yeah,
he wasn't going to ask for a recount, even though it was so close. And then all of a sudden, oh no, you actually didn't lose by 100. You won by 1,127.
Right.
Like that's a big swing, and that happened with Biden and Trump. You just showed it. One county. 6,000 votes where it was wrong. 6,000 votes flipped to Trump, and that one county flipped. And that has to do with the Dominion software. And so that's why people are calling for a hand recount and audit. We need to get, like, there's been more mail-in ballots counted and reported than what was actually sent out in a lot of places. Yeah. So that's not right. We need to actually go through this stuff.
But like
and it needs to be done.
And like we were saying, other countries that hate us are literally celebrating over Biden's victory.
And that's what's
so that
crazy.
Just tells you right there, like that's all you need to know.
I had somebody come to me and they're like, well, yeah, Biden won and he's great. And you know he's great because all these other countries are congratulating him and they're happy about it. I'm like, you do realize, I go, maybe
that's
you
a crazy
think,
thing to say.
Maybe you think that legitimizes Biden, but if you actually think about it, if it's good for them, it's bad for America.
Right.
And Trump was all about America first. And that's why a lot of other countries didn't like him. And that's because he put America first. Yep. Now, as an American, somebody who loves America, I want America to be first.
Yeah.
I don't want to be, a globalist entity. I don't want to be, I want America to be first. I'm not saying don't help other countries. I'm not saying that, to be everybody's enemy. But no. Make America first. Do I want manufacturing to come back home to the U.S. and have good jobs created here? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd rather have our jobs here than in China or in Mexico or, wherever. There's just So that it's funny that people think, well, because all these other leaders of these other countries are congratulating Biden, you know, he must be good. No.
So, yeah. And I guess we'll just...
You want to end it off there?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for watching. I appreciate it. Check out our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like it, share it. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America.